Hi there, and welcome to Unclassified. Now, before I get into this video, I just want to say, I know it's been quite some time since I uploaded, let's say, almost a year and a half since my last video, but, yeah, I don't really have any excuse. I had a massive creative block that I've just gave up with everything. I gave up with the Dodo series, I gave up with script writing, I gave up with, this. And, I haven't gained it, but I just thought I might as well try to get back. There's no harm in that. So, yeah, anyway, how have you all been? I know I've been gone for quite some bit. Most of you are thinking that the apocalypse might be happening there, that someone's risen up from the ground, from the grave, and I can't blame you in thinking that. So, anyway, that's that intro. Let's get right into episode 3 of the SCP series. So, kicking off episode 3, we have SCP-003, the biological motherboard. Now, this thing has 2 different parts, and we will get into that, but before I just dive straight into a series that hasn't carried on since the 30th of April 2023, I'm going to give you a bit of a description of what this series actually is, as a very little percentage of you might just remember it. Some of you might not know what it is at all. Whoa. Biological motherboards. The only motherboard I want to see is a motherboard that has the walls for the dodos in that I've been waiting for unclassified. And for that answer, I don't have the world anymore. I deleted it, and I have no excuse. I'm sorry. If that's what you're here for, you are free to unsubscribe, as this drifts away from that quite a bit. Anyway, the SCP series is a series on the SCP Foundation. I'm just going from zero, even though there's hundreds and thousands of different SCP-1s. So I'm talking about SCP-1, which obviously I've done. I just chose one because there's too many SCP-1s, and I suppose once I overnight how many SCPs there are. I'm hoping this series will be endless, as it'll be a nice thing to do, as it might help me with my creative block. But either way, this series is where I give a little description on what the SCP is, so you're not just diving straight into something that you don't know anything about, even though you probably know it before. Why all the other thousands of other YouTubers that have covered this most likely 10,000 times better than I'm doing right now. But the second part of the series the episodes are where I create my own story, which obviously involves the SCP that I'm covering in the video, and it ends in a cliffhanger, which any single one of you are free to leave a comment with an ending that you think fits the story best, and the ending will be shared in the next video. But either way, let's get straight into SCP-3, the biological motherboard. SCP-003-1 appears to be composed of chitin, hair, and nails of unknown biology, arranged in a configuration similar to that of a computer motherboard. Testing reveals SCP-003-1 to predate earliest known circuit boards. Sorry for that, I was just dying a bit. Where did I get to? Testing reveals SCP-00-1 to predate earliest known circuit boards by a factor of thousands of years. SCP-003-1 is the motherboard, made out of living tissue which is arranged in that of what would look like a motherboard. SCP-003-2 is the stone tablet that the motherboard is attached to. The surface of the stone tablet is covered with runes carved into it, but the symbols don't match up with any language. The ruins occasionally light up, and that is caused by the internal motherboard fueled by an unknown anomalous power source. The ruins occasionally light up, and that is caused by internal motherboard. The ruins occasionally light up, and that is caused by the internal motherboard, fueled by an unknown anomalous power source controlling it. SCP-003-1 and 2 must stay combined to prevent what is classed as a LK class reconstructing Hymes event, if I said that correctly. If not, I have no clue. It's spelled HMYJY event. Feel free to search that up. I'm most likely not going to. Which is a incident in which an SCP causes species transmutation or significant genetic alterations to more than 50% but less than 100% of the population. It's when the temperature gets below 35 degrees Celsius, things start to get strange. They start to react. The biological motherboard starts to grow rapidly and is fueled by 003-1 by absorbing any nearby matter to its fleshy mass. Well, that's that for the description of SCP-003. If you managed to make it this far through the video, I would like to say thank you for dealing with my horrible speech. I have a massive problem with my speaking, hence the reason I made this channel and this series is because I get to do my writing, which I enjoy, and also so I can work on my speech skills. So if you like it, well, there's no way you like that, but I'll try to do the story better. This is just me trying to get better, and hopefully, in the future I get better, so feel free to stick through it along the way. Anyway, let's get straight into the little story I made up for SCP-003, the biological motherboard. Hidden below multiple layers of labs, there lies a chamber with a locked door containing what everybody proclaims the biological motherboard. A group of researchers joined the team examining the motherboard in hopes of stealing it for their own biological warfare. The group worked their way down the floors to Sector 0. Going down, the group learned all sorts of information about it, such as it's composed of chitin, hair and nails in configuration similar to the motherboard, and what can happen if the temperature drops below 35 degrees Celsius. As they get off the elevator on Sector 0, they start to feel something blast over them, like a sort of radiant energy. The 5 people make their way through the hallway and stare at all the entities in the containers as they walk past. After 10 minutes of walking, they reach their destination, and in front of them, behind a 10 by 10 foot wall of glass, is a podium holding the biological motherboard. They all stand frozen, staring at the glowing runes around the tablet, until they are broke from their daze by somebody calling out to them. They turn around and see 2 top-level researchers walking down towards them, asking who they are and what they are doing. After explaining that they just wanted to look at the motherboard for themselves, the researchers then walk off, telling them to follow. They begin to follow in hopes of scanning out the lab more, looking for a way to steal the tablet. As they get 10 feet away from the glass, the researcher in the middle freezes and begins to shake. Everybody looks back to him and notices that his eyes are starting to turn black, and horrific tentacles are starting to shoot out of his back. He turns and starts walking towards the glass, and one of the other researchers walks to try and grab him, telling him to stop. But before he could get to him, 2 of the tentacles grab him by the legs and hold him upside down, and a second later, the corrupted researcher flips around quicker than the speed of light and takes a huge bite right out of the researcher's torso, and then throws him to the ground, continuing to walk towards the glass. Immediately after, the top-level researchers run to the alarms and call for a Code 0 lockdown. This causes shutters to fall down in front of the walls of glass, locking away all the entities and the biological motherboard. The corrupted researcher stops in front of the shutter, and the tentacles shoot out to grab the shutter, and after a few seconds of trying, completely rips it off. At this point, the guards have now reached Sector 0 and are now rushing to attack and contain the corrupted researcher. They start to fire bullets, but the tentacles fight it all off as it walks up to the wall of glass and starts vigorously headbutting it, slowly causing it to crack. The researchers can also notice that the motherboard is starting to have a reaction to this, as the runes are glowing on and off repeatedly, and it has the same tentacles sticking out of it. After one more powerful headbutt, the glass finally shatters, and the corrupted researcher walks up to the biological motherboard, and they both start to combine. Now, the person slowly turns around, and everyone now sees that the motherboard is now inside the torso of the corrupted researcher, also known as 003-3. There are also more tentacles now sticking out of the brain of the person, and its entire body is covered in the same glowing runes. The creature then slowly steps out of the glass. After one ear-piercing screech. That was my story for the biological motherboard. If you enjoyed the story, throughout all these bad speech moments that I'm going to have to edit out, then leave down your ending for this story, and if you're lucky enough, well, if you're probably the only person commenting if you do, but your ending will be in the beginning of episode 4 of the series, which should be sometime next week. So anyway, that's it for the video, and if you like the video, then like the video, it's not that hard, and subscribe if you're new, or subscribe if you've been waiting a year and a half since the 30th of April 2023 for the 3rd episode, and you're still sat there watching like, oh my god, it's finally time, he's out of retirement. Then like the video and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.